The wide open plains of North and South Dakota.
We are here for our hometowns.
And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Illinois Army National Guard. Aired by the Illinois Broadcasters Association and this station.
ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the WHOW Clinton Maroon Player of the Game, announced at the end of every Maroon sports broadcast. Our WHOW announcing staff will select that night's WHOW ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties Clinton Maroon Player of the Game, whose play will be highlighted in each WHOW Maroon postgame broadcast, and that player receives a certificate. Remember ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties, the leader in cleaning, restoration, and construction. Find out their services by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your local radio stations are here for you. No subscriptions or monthly fees necessary. We're here to give you the news, weather, and traffic you need, and the music you love. But if the foreign-owned record labels get their way, it could stop the music. They want Congress to force radio stations to pay them more money, simply to play their music. Don't let radio go silent. Text LOCAL to 52886 and tell Congress to protect local radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
8 minutes after 8 o'clock is news time on this Wednesday morning. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded local newscast, streaming to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. There were no contested races on the DeWitt County election ballot Tuesday night, and for DeWitt County Board District A, incumbents Buck Carter and Jamie Prestigard were uncontested in winning re-election. Joe Whitty will join the county board representing District A. DeWitt County Board District B, incumbent Terry Ferguson was uncontested in his pursuit of re-election. Patrick Ryan and John Wirtz will join the DeWitt County Board representing District B. In DeWitt County Board District C, Megan Myers was reelected as an incumbent. Tom Ferris and Christina Deerwester were uncontested to join the DeWitt County Board representing District C. And DeWitt County Board District D incumbents Melanie Tilley, Dan Matthews, and Brian Riddle were all uncontested incumbents reelected Tuesday night. DeWitt County Sheriff Mike Walker was reelected unchallenged on Tuesday. Sarah Jade Russell was elected to the county treasurer's post, and County Clerk Carrie Harris was elected, replacing the retiring Dana Smith. Voter turnout for the election was just short of 60%. The DeWitt County chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution is hosting a Saturday Veterans Roundtable discussion to highlight the stories of local veterans. Edith Brady Lunny with DAR says the event will be this Saturday at 2 p.m. at the American Legion building in Clinton. It will highlight a trio of local veterans, moderated by Nelson Thorpe, a veteran himself.
On Saturday, the DeWitt Clinton chapter of the DAR is going to be working with the American Legion and AMVETS on a special Veterans Day event that will feature a panel of 3 local veterans who will answer questions, share their stories of their service. So we're going to have 3 local veterans. We're going to have Jesse Owens, who served more than 30 years in the Army. We have Mark Rogers, who served in Vietnam, and Ron DeVore, who served during the Korean War.
Brady Lunny says the idea for this stemmed from some successful community forums held in conjunction with the Prairie Flyers exhibit at the C.H. Moore Homestead. She believes you cannot highlight veterans and their stories enough.
We're fortunate to have Nelson Thorpe with us on that day to moderate. So we have kind of some questions that'll help guide the discussion. We want them to talk about their service, some of the highlights of their service, and we want them to have a chance to share their personal stories. That it's just an opportunity that veterans don't get very often. Well, one of the things that I learned, and John Warner and Dennis Hambuchen learned as we put together those 5 events, was there's a real audience here in DeWitt County for veterans to tell their stories. We had a packed room really for all 5 of the events, but the 4 that featured veterans telling their own stories, answering questions were very popular. So we thought, well, since we kind of have that started in the community, maybe it'd be good to continue that and ask a different group of veterans to come and share their story.
Thorpe says that he has not heard the stories of his fellow veterans that will be a part of this event. He believes it'll be good to hear their experiences.
Well, Edith called me and asked if I wouldn't mind moderating, and I don't mind a bit. And I always like to hear their stories too. I was fortunate to have a father that talked about his experience in World War II. And I was one of those guys that came back during the Vietnam era, which was quite an experience. It wasn't anything like World War II or even the Korean War veterans had at the time. So trying to tell people what your side of the story is really important to me. And I hope that I can facilitate this, maybe answer some questions that the public has, or these guys have never told before. And sometimes it's even good to kind of story of getting it off your chest. And the fact that I don't want to say we're bragging or anything like that. It was, we want to try to emphasize we did it. Okay, then why did you do that? Well, we can say love of country, the flag, and just an experience that you'd never have before. It was a different experience. In my case, 3 years of my life that I thought I could forget, and you remember it every day.
The event again is Saturday, November 12th, at the American Legion building in Clinton at 2 p.m. A proposed wind farm on Logan County's east side near the National Weather Service has residents in that area concerned. Dave Opperman farms in Logan County, and Kristen Peterson is a resident near Beeson. Both are concerned about the proximity of the project to the National Weather Service office just outside of Lincoln. Peterson indicates her property was hit by a tornado this past summer, and there was little warning of the storm. She attributes that to wind farms in the area and says it would be worse with this proposed wind farm called Top Hat.
Well, this project is primarily on the east side of Logan County. They want to walk away with 60 turbines. There's 63 sited spots where they intend to place turbines at this point. They intend to plant 60 of them. That's their goal. Our big concern is that there's approximately, there's over the 50%, I think there's 60% of these are actually in what we call a mitigation zone, and that's documented by the National Weather Service. That's an area that will have definite impacts. The turbines will have definite impacts upon the accuracy of the Doppler radar. And we feel that it is a valid safety concern to have those turbines within that mitigation zone. Basically, that's an 11-mile arc from the Lincoln Doppler radar, and that is a huge concern. Invenergy is the overarching company. Top Hat is the name of this particular wind farm that they've tagged it as.
A couple of years ago, the DeWitt County residents fought really hard to keep these turbines that were placed inside close to that mitigation zone out of DeWitt County because of the impacts to the radar. So when you put these large turbines that are 600 feet tall in that radar line of sight, it actually can prevent the meteorologists from predicting forming tornadoes. And recently in August, in the spring, they put up the turbines in DeWitt County against the residents' concerns. They went ahead and approved the project. They're 580 feet tall, and they're about 3 miles from my house. So the impact to the radar is, I feel those impacts. And in August, we had a tornado that formed in Beeson, and it actually hit my house directly, and we did not get a warning. And we do feel strongly that placing those turbines in the spring impacted the ability of the Weather Service to issue that warning. So we feel that putting more of these turbines that are actually taller, because the ones proposed for this site are 615 feet tall, and they're going to be significantly closer inside this mitigation zone, is going to further put a lot more risk to the citizens, including Beeson and the surrounding areas. We won't be able to get those on-time weather alerts. And we feel that even though they're signed an agreement with the Weather Service to curtail these, it's been proven that even when they're not rotating, they're impacting the radar.
Opperman indicates he has spoken with officials at the National Weather Service in Lincoln and points out some are not thrilled with the proposed project. They are hoping the Logan County Board would consider restricting these from being erected in an 11-mile radius from the Weather Service office. With a couple of wind projects up for consideration in Logan County, just another south of the Top Hat project, Opperman points out with those two projects, that would give Logan County roughly one turbine for every 2 square miles, and wonders when enough is enough. Peterson says the issue of wind turbines has become something she's concerned about since her move to the rural area.
That's a tough question, Seth. I will leave you with this. Currently, we have around 200 windmills in Logan County. If this one and there's one west of town in the Middletown area come to fruition, that'll put us around the 300 number, which equates to approximately one turbine for every 2 square miles if you were to spread them out in Logan County. And I guess my thing is, at what point is enough enough? I mean, our big concern with this project, like we've said numerous times, is the safety of the residents and the mitigation zone. Everybody has to do what's right with them. I get that, but let's not just jump over each other trying to put more windmills in without thinking this through solidly.
I honestly wasn't paying much attention to these wind turbines as they were being put up. I did notice after I moved into my property that about a year after I moved in, there were like flashing red lights dotting the horizon. And I had no idea what it was. I actually thought it was some sort of airport that was being put in.
Opperman has concerns about a private airway landing strip in the footprint of the project, as well as refuge for eagles in the area. Among the other concerns is the fact that many of the leases for these turbines are with absentee landowners. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
CEO Paul Skowron here from Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton. Our trained physical